Hey, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you here. It is Mother's Day cake. We're going to do a fun surprise inside cake. Hey, do you notice something different? If you've watched our Facebook Lives, we have upgraded a little bit. So this is actually going to be what we're going to use for our online classes. We're getting ready to migrate to online classes starting in June. So June, July, and August, we'll be able to do that. Hopefully the sound is a little better here, the lighting is a little better, and so we've been recording some classes and getting ready for that, and just very excited to kind of move in a new direction. So it's kind of crazy to have to do it, but this is something we've talked about for a long time. So these Facebook Lives have been a good way for us to kind of transition into that, and now we'll be able to move into actual online classes and do some different things. So glad to have you joining us. Randy's here. He's the producer. He's running the cameras. We're actually going to have some different camera angles. Randy, you should show them different camera angles even right now. And look at that. So very cool. You can see from above, you can see from the side, and you can see from the front. So we only have 3 camera angles right now. You know, who knows, maybe we'll add a 4th as we're going, but yay. So that's much better than us having to tilt the camera down. And look, our signs are actually straight. They're not backwards anymore. So yay. So the little things make you happy right now. So we've been working hard on that, on getting everything together and doing this and being able to extend not only these Facebook Lives, but then getting ready for our online classes. So thank you so much for joining us today for our Mother's Day cake. This one's going to be a fun one. As you join in, say hello and let us know that you're here. And Magda is here. She is actually here. And so excited that she's sitting right here. Got to see her today. She came in. She's helping with we're putting together some kits for Mother's Day. So if you're interested, we have some kits for Mother's Day cookies. And it includes the cookies, it includes the icing, it also includes a bag of tips and couplers and bags and everything that you need, even colors, everything that you need for decorating the cookies. And so they'll be really fun. The colors, we decided to go with just primary, so red, yellow, and blue, and then you can make any color from that, pretty much any color you can make from that. So that's what we're doing for the Mother's Day kits. So we have those available on our website. You can go to makeitsweet.com, go to our shopping section, and then be able to purchase the kits. You can do it as curbside pickup on Thursday or Friday. And then if you're wanting to decorate them Thursday or Friday, we'll actually have like the online class version of it. So I've recorded some videos, and we have the recipe sheet and the instruction sheets and all of that together. And so we have all of that ready to go for Thursday or Friday. But then if you want to wait, that would be even more fun, because we're going to do a live version of it. So I'll be on there to be able to answer questions, to be able to decorate, to be able to work with you through the class. And so that's kind of our first version of the online class and the way that we're going to do it. So they'll be the guinea pigs. So those of you that have been in class before, there's probably some of you out there that have been in some guinea pig classes, and you know how those go. So usually well, sometimes a few tweaks after that. So that's what we're going to be doing. So glad to have you here for this. And let's talk about today. Oh my gosh, it was so busy here at the store. We had a line out the door. There were probably 6 people in line. Yeah, they were like lined up down the walkway here, and but everyone is so respectful in the store. It's so nice. people stay, socially distanced and away from each other. We put some really fun, cute little footprints on the floor and some signs on the floor around, just to remind everyone, stay apart. The area where it seems to back up the most is packaging. I don't know why, but everyone is into packaging. So that's the one where when I walk back there, I usually just stand back and wait for everyone else to finish, and then I walk into that area. So, but you are more than welcome to come into the store if you would like to. If you want to just arrange a curbside pickup, we can do that. So 2 different ways you can do that. You can just call us and leave us a message if we're not here, or just call it in during our regular hours, and I'll talk about our hours in just a minute. Or you can leave an email at mail@makeitsweet.com and just describe what it is that you're looking for. And the really important part is to be able to make sure that you leave your phone number, because we want to make sure that we can get back in touch with you if we need to. And that way we can talk to you or email you or text you and be able to get in touch with you if we have any questions. So there's a couple of ways of arranging for curbside pickup. We have new hours that started this past Monday. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday are 10 to 2. So we're still keeping the 10 to 2, but we added Saturday in there. We also added Thursday. And so on Thursday, we're going to be open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And so if someone is working and you need to come in the evenings, Thursday's your day to be able to come, or come on Saturday between the 10 to 2. We are still going to be closed on Sundays and Tuesdays. Those are our quietest days, and so it's a good way for us to just, let Pam and Kathy and Carlos, who are out there taking care of everything, let them have some days off. So we're going to be closed on Tuesdays and Sundays, and continue with this for a little while till we kind of start seeing that we need to have expanded hours from here. That might be what's causing people to back up on the lines, because they're knowing that we're only open from 10 to 2. So we'll see as we go. This is all let's see as we go and figure it out as we go kind of thing. So that's where we are with the store, and that's where we are with classes. I'm gonna do another Facebook Live next week, but we're just gonna do it on Wednesday. So just like this one, we're only gonna do one next week. It's gonna be on Wednesday, and it's gonna be pies. I have 2 pie recipes that I want to share with you guys. So we'll make crust, and we'll talk about different things that you'll do with it. One is going to be a blind bake, and that one we're going to make my grandmother's strawberry pie. It is so good. It is one of my absolute favorites. So we're going to do that. And then the other one I want to make is a mixed berry pie, and so that way it could be any kind of berries, and that one's going to be a double crust. And so 2 different applications for our pies, and Randy's going to be really happy because he loves pie, so he'll be really happy to have some pies to eat. So that's our plan for next Wednesday. And then if you don't get our newsletter, go ahead and sign up if you're interested in learning about what's coming up with our online classes. So you can text CAKES to 42828. That's CAKES, CAKES, to 42828. Or just go to our website, and then there's a link on the top right hand side. Sign up for our newsletter, and that way you can always know what's going on with our classes and the things, especially right now with all the changes and stuff going on. It's just hard to keep up with. So that's all I have for what's going on. All right, glad to have everyone here. The Mother's Day cake that we're going to make today is going to be a surprise inside cake. And so I want to walk through how to do it. But before I even do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn one of these out and I'm going to slice it so that you can see what I'm talking about before we actually work through how to make that happen. So I'm just gonna, I have these in loaf pans, and I'll talk about why they're so flat on the top in just a minute. They're baked kind of Pullman loaf style with another pan on top, and that's to keep it from rising too much as it's baking. So it's just, this one was in a nonstick pan, and it is, and I made sure that it was greased really well. And so I'm just going to put my board on. I'm going to flip the whole thing over, lift it up, give it a little, there we go. Whew, nice. I'm glad it turned out. All right, so this I would ice, but I'm gonna go ahead and slice a little bit off of it so that you can see what it looks like. I have another one that is cooled even a little bit more that I'll go ahead and use that one to ice. So I just want to slice a little bit off of here. Sorry, I'm using my other hand, but look at that! So nice, we're gonna have pink hearts inside for Mother's Day. That is just perfect. And so we have the hearts that go all the way through. And so we'll talk about how to make this design or other designs that you might want to come up with for the surprise inside. And then at the end, I'm going to actually decorate the cake too, so that you'll be able to have some ideas for decoration as well. All right, let me set this aside. I'll set it back there and you can still kind of see it from there, right? All right, so here we go. So I took my cake batter, and the cake batter that we're using is our cake mix. We use the cake mix because it is really sturdy, and it's different than like a Betty Crocker Duncan Hines you get from the grocery store. There's nothing wrong with those. I like box mixes too, but they're lighter, and so they're not going to hold up to this technique quite as well. And so if you're looking for like something that you can buy at the grocery store, look for a box mix that has like where it says like pudding in the mix, or where it's like more of like a pound cake. You're looking for a heavier, a little bit more dense, a little bit more compact cake, and that's going to make this technique much, much easier. So I just have some of my batter, and I'm going to put that down into my plain color is going to go down into my pan. So Randy's probably going to switch to the overhead right now. So just give your pan a good spray. There we go. All right, and so then I'm going to take some batter, and I'm going to put it into the bottom of my pan. So I just want maybe like half an inch or so of batter. This is just going to help to secure my cake that I'm going to put in here. So it's not a huge amount, just enough to hold the cake. All right, and then you can see what I have here is a thin sheet pan of the cake. What I did is I took some of the batter and I colored it pink, and then put it into this sheet pan that's only 3/4 of an inch thick, and then bake this. These only take like 10 minutes in the oven. They bake so quickly. And then I have something that I can cut my shapes out of. So see how I have a bunch of hearts cut out of here. All I did, I just took a heart cookie cutter, just go in and just kind of wiggle it in the batter, and then you're able to have your cutout that you're able to use for this. So I'm using some hearts. If you want to get really fancy, you can look around and see if you have like some other cutters. Like I have some that are like letters, and it was too big to write mom all the way across, but I could do like I heart you and go all the way across. That would just take a lot longer cutting out, but I cut out some of them and they're really cute. So look how cute that would be inside your cake. And so that would be fun to be able to do as well. So there's so many things that you could do with this. You know, think of, you know, being able to just use a heart or someone's initials, or, you know, if someone's turning 3 years old and you're wanting to do this, it doesn't have to be limited to Mother's Day. You know, you could put a 3 in here. You could do so many different things with this same technique. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take my cutouts, and I'm going to put them in, and I'm going to layer them from all the way to the front to all the way to the back. And the reason that you want to do that is because no matter where you slice in here, you want to be able to see that heart. If I just put hearts and just like put a few of them in there, you wouldn't know where to slice, and you're always going to slice in the wrong spot. And you've built this up as being like this really fun thing to look at, and then you slice it in the wrong spot and oops, no heart. And so you want to make sure that you have it all the way from the front to the back. I'm also going to put these upside down. And the reason for that is that I'm going to turn this cake out, and I want the bottom or the top to end up being the bottom. And so in this case, I'm going to go ahead and put these all upside down. So I like to go ahead and take several of them and just line them up right next to each other. So just one right next to the other. There we go. And then put them in. And I'm not pressing them all the way to the bottom. They'll kind of sink down there on their own. I don't have to press. It's just that the batter in there helps to hold it all in place. So there we go. There's some more. It took 14 of them before, so let's see. I cut out 14. We'll see if it's 14 again. This one seems a little bit thicker. I think I can do with just this right here. That's perfect. So see how it's straight from all the way from the front all the way to the back. And just make sure that it's not like really cockeyed. You don't have any of them, you know, really out of position or anything. I'm also going to get a little spatula, and I want to get rid of this. There's a little tiny extra piece of cake that's sticking out. And if I don't get rid of that, I could almost guarantee that that's where I would slice, and you would see that in addition to the heart, and it just wouldn't look quite as nice. So want to make sure that you have it nice and clean in there. And now I'm just going to take more batter, and I'm going to put this right over the top. And yes, this is already baked cake that is going to bake again inside this new cake. And I promise, if you closed your eyes, you would not have a texture difference to this at all. It's not going to dry out your cake. It's not going to make it where someone's going to be like, oh, she's serving old cake or anything. It's not like that at all. All right, and so notice what I did. I went kind of around, like right over the top of the tips on my heart. Oh, that was the one that with the cake on it. There we go. Let me get a new spatula right here. All right. So I just want to make sure that this is nice and even. You want to make sure that the pink of your hearts or whatever it is that you're making, that it is covered up. So you don't want to leave any of it exposed. And you want to have your pan 2/3 full. So that's what we're looking for, is for it to be 2/3 full, and that's where we are right here. All right. Now, when this bakes, what I want to do, I'm going to do this kind of Pullman loaf style. And so what that does is that it keeps it nice and flat, and it keeps the hearts from kind of, as the batter rises, it might move and change in direction. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to put a pan right on top of this when it's in the oven. And so in order to make that happen and not have something stick all over this, you want to make sure to spray this pan, and then you'll turn this over, and this is what will go into the oven. So it'll go into the oven like this. And so it'll just sit in there like that. And I call it like Pullman loaf style. I don't know if you're familiar with Pullman loaves. It's a bread pan that actually has a lid that goes on top of it, and so you can put your bread dough in there, and then as it rises and bakes, it bakes into that like perfect square. And so I'm sure you've all seen the results of like a Pullman style loaf, but might not have seen the pan for it. So that's what we'll be doing with this. And what you might want to consider doing, if it's just a light pan like this, even putting some weight on here. And so something that can go into the oven and withstand heat, of course, but a little bit of weight that goes on here, and that way it's not going to lift the whole thing up. So then once it bakes, then you end up with your nice flat pan like this of your design right in position. All right, everyone good with that? Everyone good with the cake part? All right, let me move this stuff to the side. There we go. Getting ready to decorate. Gotta clear everything off. I'll bake that one again later, but I'm going to end up with 3 cakes, so we'll have to figure out what to do with all these cakes here. All right, so with this one, this is the one that's a little bit cooler, and so I'm just going to turn it out of the pan. So turn it over, lift up, there we go, and see how beautifully these bake. They bake so nicely and come out of the pan so easily. It's just such a nice pan, and our cake mix and using this Vegeline spray is the combination that makes that happen, where it just comes out of the pan so easily. All right, let's talk about icing. So the icing that we're using today is our American buttercream. So this is our standard high ratio buttercream icing, and the only difference is that instead, out of the recipe that it calls for, I use just a little bit of butter in here. And so I replaced some of the shortening with a little bit of butter. I know I'm not going to be taking this cake anywhere outside that's hot. And so that way I end up getting a little bit of that butter flavor, and it really enhances the icing quite a bit. Be careful if you do that. So you can go up to about 50-50 doing that, but what ends up happening is that it's never going to be as temperature stable once it has the butter in it. So it's never going to be quite as stable. So you want to make sure that you're not doing it where you're going to be taking it outside. Certainly not anytime this time of year, or into the summer. And make sure that it's something where you can, if you need to, be able to store it in the refrigerator if you're adding more and more butter to it. So the recipe for this is right on our website. So go to makeitsweet.com, go to our recipes section, and go to the high ratio shortening buttercream icing. You're going to see that ingredient in there that's called high ratio shortening. High ratio shortening is that shortening that's different than like the Crisco, like a regular, like vegetable shortening. It's different than that. And there's 2 key differences. It has additional emulsifiers. That's what make things smooth, make things creamy. And then it also has a different melting point. So it has that higher melting point than butter, so it gives you that temperature stability, but a little bit lower melting point than like a regular Crisco shortening. And that way you end up getting a really nice mouthfeel with it. So this ends up being a nice, light, fluffy icing. It's not a heavy buttercream, and that's because of the high ratio shortening. Everything else you're going to find just right at the grocery store, so you're not going to have to shop around too much for everything. So I have some of my icing already put into bags here, and I'll show you doing that. I'm going to first color the rest of this pink. And so we're going to use pink and green, my two favorite colors. And so we're going to use that really bright pink and then that electric green. And so I love that combination. I don't know, I grew up with like Izod and, you know, like preppy days. And so I kind of think of it as like those preppy colors. So it just brings me back. So I'm going to color the rest of this pink. And so the pink that we're using is deep pink. These are AmeriColor colors, and these are gel colors. So see how thick that is. It's not the liquid kind like what you get from the grocery store. If you use like the liquid kind from the grocery store, what ends up happening is that if you try to get to bright colors like this, you're going to end up with soup before you get to a bright color. And so that's why the gel colors are so important with this. I may even need to add a little bit more to be able to get to that bright pink that I'm looking for. So just give it a good stir. I think we're good. You can always add more color. You can't really easily take it away. So it's easier to add a little bit at a time. If you're worried about going too far with a color, just do a little bit and then see if you need to add more. All right, there we go. I'm going to make two different kinds of bags with this icing. I'm going to make a regular bag with a coupler, and then I'm also going to make a bag with a 1M tip. So the regular bag with the coupler, and both of these bags, these are disposable piping bags made by Key Seal. These are those heavyweight disposable bags. And with this, I'm going to put a coupler inside. I thought I had a coupler out here, but let me grab one. That's the nice thing about having this right here. If I forget something, it's all right here. Yeah, exactly. All right, so when you're making your bags, what you want to do is hold the top of the bag between your hands, rub your hands together, and it opens it up. And then I always like to put my thumbs on the inside and then turn inside out about the top 4 inches of the bag. And then put the large part of the coupler inside. We're going to use a coupler because that way we can switch from round tips to star tips to do different things with the icing. So put that inside, put the ring on the outside, and then the way I like to cut it is not like this, like where you're snipping it, but I leave my scissors open and put them right next to the ring. And so I just want to put it right here, and I'm just going to twist back and forth. There we go. Look at that, fancy Randy switching the camera. There we go. And then you can pull this off, and that way it's always cut to the perfect length. All right, so there's that one. And then the other bag that I'm going to make, I'm actually going to use a larger one. This is an 18-inch bag. And just because it's that 1M tip, which is that huge star tip, I'm going to need a little bit more icing in here. I want to make that same kind of collar. So that's the collar. You make that collar because that way it's just so much easier when you are filling your bag with icing to have that collar in there. And then I'm going to take my tip, and that's just going to go into my bag once I cut it. So I want to cut off about 1.5 inches. This one we are just going to kind of eyeball 1.5 inches. And then take your tip, drop it down in, and then kind of push it so that it goes all the way in. All right. There we go. So now I'm going to take my spatula and I'm going to fill my bags. This little spatula would take me forever to fill the bag. So I love these for mixing color, but not so much for filling bags. So now I'm just going to get a good scoop of icing on my spatula, and I'm going to hold my hand in between the outside of the bag and that collar that I made. And I want to put the spatula down in, squeeze against the spatula, and pull the spatula out, and the icing just stays in the bag. I'm going to put 2 good-sized scoops in this one. There we go. And then I'll put the rest of the icing into the other bag. Just lift up on the sides, push the icing down in, and then you're ready to go. So my plan for this is that we're going to put some rosettes on the side, and then we're going to ice the top, and then we'll end up writing Happy Mother's Day on here, and then maybe put some leaves on there and some other designs. So that's kind of in my mind the plan. I haven't made this actual design yet, but in my mind it works out well. So we'll see how it turns out. All right. There we go. So I have all my icing ready to go. My bags are made. Everything's done. I have my tips over here. I have a spatula right here that I'll use. There we go. All right. Let me move this out of the way. You don't need to see that bowl. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some icing onto the top of my cake, and I just want to kind of smooth it. You don't have to worry about having a fancy turntable and everything for this, because we're going to put rosettes on the side. If we were smooth icing the sides of this, then yes, a turntable would make your life so much easier. But with rosettes on the side, you don't need that. And so if you don't have a turntable, put rosettes on the side of all of your cakes, and then it makes it so much easier. All right. So I'm going to take a couple of good plops of icing. Use my spatula here. There we go. And now I'm just going to do this as a thin layer. So I'm just going to spread this. Just use your spatula, and the way you want to hold the spatula is where you are holding it so that you're gripping it, and then your finger is on that crook right here. And then you want to just back and forth. There we go. And I just want to get it to the point where it's fairly smooth, and it's from edge to edge. All right. Pretty good right there. And now I'm going to take a bench scraper, and I'm going to smooth this out even a little bit more. So with the bench scraper, I just want to hold it at a really flat angle. And I'm just going to go right across. This is the kind of thing, like, you could spend hours just working and working and working this to get it like so smooth. We're going to write on top of it. We're going to put some flowers on top of it. No one's going to know. I did need to take that one to the edge. No one's going to know if it's like just perfectly smooth. So it is fine for it to be kind of as smooth as you can get it, but it don't obsess over it. At some point, this is what Magda would always say in class, at some point you just say done, and she would start taking spatulas from people's hands. So everyone's looking forward to online classes so they can keep working their icing just a little bit longer than Magda would allow. She's going to start telling me to just say no. Done, done, done. All right, done. Okay, pretty good. So now what I do want to do is I want to kind of take this and I want to clean up my edges. So I'm just taking my bench scraper and I'm going around. There we go. And this edge kind of came up over, so I'm just going to take my bench scraper. I'm going to end up with a little bit of border on here, and so that'll be absolutely fine. Use my spatula here. You could take a hot spatula to this and really, really make it smooth. It's a little bit of overkill, but it's for mom, so maybe it's not overkill, right? It's not. If it's for mom, it's a good thing. All right. All right, so from here, now I'm going to start on my rosettes. And so the rosettes, we're going to use the tip number 1M. So look at this one. It's a huge, huge star tip. And this one, we're going to put rosettes on the side. And in my mind, the way that I'm foreseeing this happening is that we're going to kind of alternate white and pink. I'm going to do some white, a few pink, and then we'll end up putting some leaves in there too. So with this, and every time you pick up a bag, what you want to do is you want to push the icing down in, you want to bunch it together and twist. All right, that twist is really important. It does two things. It builds up pressure in the bag, and it also keeps the icing from coming out the wrong end. So really important. You hold that twist really tight between your thumb and your first finger, whatever hand you write with. I'm a lefty, so it goes right in my left hand. And then for this, what we're going to do is think of this like an @ sign. So I'm going to start in the middle, and then I'm going to go around and then stop squeezing. And so I'll try to do it here. No, that one's not a good angle. Oh, let's do that angle. There we go. All right, so I'm going to start in the middle, and I'm going to squeeze and go around. And then I'm going to start in the middle, squeeze, and go around. Surely you guys have all seen these cakes all over Pinterest, right? You know, they are all the rage. And so I can switch. How big your rosettes are is going to depend on how much you squeeze. And so if you don't squeeze very much, you're going to have smaller rosettes. Or if you use a smaller star tip, you would end up with smaller rosettes. So you see, this is really fast, and it's a very, very quick way. Plus, it's really pretty. I think it, especially for Mother's Day, it's a nice look for being able to decorate these cakes. So let's see. Put a couple here. What I don't want to do is I don't want to start and go like white, 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 and then try to fill in with the pink. That's really hard to do. And so you want to, if you're going to alternate, you want to alternate as you're going, and don't try to make it where you are where you're just filling in, because filling in is much harder than going along and doing this. There we go. All right. This is such a forgiving kind of design too. Has everyone seen all these cakes on Pinterest that are like this? This was like all the rage for a while. I just broke my own rule right here. Do you see what I did? Giving myself something really hard to do. Fill in with the white and make sure that it fills in that whole area. Just in the interest of time. So it's always a, don't I always say it in class, do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. All right, almost more than halfway done. This cake is for people who really like icing, because there's quite a bit on the sides, but at least it's just the sides. It's not anything crazy with so much extra icing on the top or anything. And we don't have any filling with it, so it's not as crazy with that. This one you wouldn't be able to fill, because that would mess up our design. Based on what your design is, you may be able to fill it, but all right. Finish my white here. That's going to be whatever's going to be white. Get this corner. I'll turn this around in just a second for you to be able to see. I'm almost done. Of course, for your mom, you would take more time than what I'm doing here. There we go. All right, so sides are finished. So you can see I have rosettes all over. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my green and I'm going to put a few leaves in here. I'm not going to put just a ton of leaves, but just enough so that then it sets it off as being flowers. So the leaf tip that I'm going to use is a tip number 352. So this one looks like a V. I'm challenging Randy with all the camera angles here. So this one looks like a V, and I'll show you once I put it on the way that we're going to use that. So when you're putting the tips onto the bag, what you want to do is unscrew the bag. You want to put the tip on and then screw the ring right on the outside. And then this one, you want to hold it where the points of the V are up and down to each other. So I want to hold it like this, where the points are up and down. If I use it sideways like this, so see, that would be what I would call sideways. That gives you kind of like a little slug. All right, if I use it where it's up and down, then I end up getting that nice leaf shape. So it's such a different look to it. And so you want to always use the points up and down to each other. All right. So here we go. I want to put the points up and down to each other and kind of point it in. And I'm just going to find areas that need a little bit of addition to it. Let me move this. Move this. There we go. All right, so this needs a little attention. Squeeze and pull to the edge. Squeeze and pull. And they don't all have to go in the same direction. There we go. And you can even put some like in between. So like here, maybe a leaf, maybe one down at the bottom here. Right at the corner. Leaves will end up covering up stuff that you don't like, or holes, or there we go. There's a little gap right there. Guess what? There's going to be a leaf. No one knows now. All right, let's see. Maybe a few down at the bottom, one right there. So see, it's not like a ton of leaves all around, but enough that it's going to give the idea that these are flowers and leaves. All right. So now, writing on this cake. So there's a couple of ways that you could do this. If you wanted to take a toothpick and write like your Happy Mother's Day on here and kind of give yourself a guide, you can do that. And that's a great way of doing it. Or you could use your white icing and do the same kind of thing. And that way, when you put your other icing on top of it, you at least have a guide to go by. So I'm gonna do that with my white icing to start with. And that way, if I don't like it, you know what? I can take my spatula and I can kind of clear it off. So this one's gonna be a little hard to see because it's white on white. I'm gonna kind of angle it so that I can get Mother's Day across here. And I always find it easiest to do cursive because you end up with fewer starts and stops. When you are doing a printing, this is hard to do, to talk and to write at the same time. So when you're printing, it's just it's harder to have all those starts and stops. THERS. And I don't have to worry about this being just perfect because remember I said that we were going to go over it again. All right. So now if I wanted to, I could go over this with like a star tip, like a small star tip. I'm going to use the same size round tip and go back over it. But if you wanted to use like a star tip and be able to get like texture to it, you could do that and that would be fine. I'm very quiet while I'm writing like this. There we go. And see what it does? It actually lifts it up a little bit too with having the white underneath. So it gives it even a little bit more dimension. And you could use even a smaller tip if you wanted to. But when you start with a smaller tip, what ends up happening, if you can't keep the pressure just perfect, like if you're using a tip number 2 or even if you go to like a tip number 1, oh my gosh, then you end up with it curling up so badly. So it's really hard to, and it takes a lot of practice to control your pressure with that. Happy Mother's Day. I think I'm spelling everything correctly, even though I'm talking while I do it. I taught an airbrush class one time and we always write happy birthday, and I realized after I did it, it was happy birthday. So whoops, that happens sometimes. And then if you want to, you could put some small flowers. So I can come with some smaller rosettes on here with my pink. So I have a tip number 18. And so kind of to tie it all together, I can do just some smaller rosettes. And I'll end up adding a few leaves to these as well. All right, I think that's probably it. I'll add a few leaves in here. Oops, got to switch back to that leaf tip. whenever I am decorating, I always end up leaving my tips like right to the side, because so often you want to come back to that same tip. So don't throw it into like your bucket to be cleaned yet. You know, that's for after you're done and the cake is totally finished. That's when you do that. So sometimes it's just those little details. Coming in with a few more rosettes with a few details on here. That makes all the difference and kind of pulls it all together. There we go. I think we're finished. So it's Happy Mother's Day cake. I'll turn it around so that you can see it from above. So Randy will go to the above shot for a second so that you can see. And there we go. So Happy Mother's Day. We are going to, when you slice this one, it doesn't matter where you slice it. So it would be from front to back and be able to see the hearts inside. So it's like that surprise inside when you're doing that. So just like this one back here, you would be able to see that inside. And so that's the fun part with this. And hopefully you've learned some things about surprise inside, about doing that. I always find it easiest to do surprise inside in like a loaf pan like this. If you're trying to do it in a round, it's a lot harder because you have to actually have a ring of your designs all the way around. And so that's just harder to kind of get them all to fit together and to work. So that's why the loaf pan. And I think serving from a loaf pan makes it much easier as well. So there we go. If you have any questions, please post them on here. And I know I've seen Magda typing and doing some stuff, so I'm sure she's answering some questions. But post them. If we don't get to them right now while we are here live, then we do continue to check it and answer the questions and go from there. And then join us next Wednesday for pies. So 2 different kind of pies. My grandmother's strawberry pie, and then also a mixed berry 2 crust pie. So we'll be doing both of those. And then join us on our website, our newsletter, and be able to hear about the things that we're going to be doing for online classes moving forward. And so if you were registered for a class coming up, we are sending out emails to kind of alert you for the things that are coming up and what we're going to do and how we're going to handle it. So if you had one that was scheduled for May, you've already gotten your notice for that. And then we're getting the June, July, and August. Yes, we had classes scheduled all the way out to August. We're getting those out as well. And so we'll be working on that. And then if you want to come to the store, please do come see us and come say hello. And that would be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday from 10 to 2, Thursdays from 10 to 7. So that's our long day. We're going to have to figure out where to go for lunch tomorrow, get some lunch ordered in from somewhere, and then closed on Sundays and closed on Tuesdays. And we will continue revising that and then update. Always look at our website or give us a call, and we'll always have the correct information for our hours on the website and then also on our message for the phone. So thank you so much for joining us for Mother's Day cake. I hope this gave you kind of some inspiration for an idea that you can do. Please post pictures. If you make something, let us know what you're making for your mom or what you're making for yourself, which is probably what's happening for a lot of us, right? And so make your favorite cake and your favorite flavor, and that way you get what you want. But happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, and those who aren't moms, treat your moms to something special. And even if you can't be together, get together somehow, whether it's just a phone call, whether it's FaceTime, whatever it is. Be sure to get together and remain close. So thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy your cake. Enjoy the rest of the week. We'll see you next week. All right. Take care. Bye. Happy Mother's Day.